bill to avert crisis, but if they had failed, we would have been heading for another partial government shutdown. Sandra.
Mike Emanuel, thank you. For more on this, let's bring in Alexandra Smith, Executive Director of America Rising, and Elizabeth Gore, Policy Director and Government Relations Department Chair for Brownstein Hyatt Farber Schreck. Thanks to both of you for being here this afternoon.
Thanks for having us.
There's no such thing as a sleepy Friday afternoon anymore around here, but what a day it was with it starting out with the president saying he was considering vetoing this bill, and then he has now signed it. The government will stay open, Alexandra.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think that what the president was doing in his tweet earlier was he's reaching out to his base, letting them know that he's still in favor of the border wall, and he still is reaching out to DACA recipients to let them know that their status will be secured. But, you know, at the same time, I think that it was responsible to fund the government. As a small government conservative and as a young person, the amount of spending in this bill is, of course, worrisome to me. I think does raise valid concerns about procedure and process here.
You know, Elizabeth, I was watching your reaction when she was talking about DACA there, because the president made a point when he spoke a few moments ago to tell those DACA recipients that said this morning in a tweet said have been left out of the picture by Democrats. He told them Republicans are with you. Listen.
I can tell you this, and I say this to DACA recipients, that the Republicans are with you. They want to get your situation taken care of. The Democrats fought us. They just fought every single inch of the way. They did not want DACA in this bill.
Elizabeth?
That's just a silly thing to say. The reason that we're in this situation with DACA is because the president ended the program last fall. He's had the different positions on DACA throughout the last several months. In one single meeting, he took three different positions.
Do Democrats want to get something done for DACA recipients, Elizabeth?
It's been a priority for Democrats for years to take care of this. The president said, come up with a bipartisan package and I'll sign it. The Democrats came up with that package, and the president rejected it.
Why wasn't it in this bill?
I think that the problem was that the president wouldn't go to the middle and wouldn't allow the process, the Democrats and Republicans that had a package, he wouldn't sign off on it. And that's been the problem for months.
All right, well, the president made it very clear, Alexandra, when he was speaking a few minutes ago and said, I will never sign something like this bill again. Here he is saying it. Listen.
There are a lot of things that we shouldn't have had in this bill, but we were, in a sense, forced. If we want to build our military, we were forced to have. There are some things that we should have in the bill. But I say to Congress, I will never sign another bill like this again. I'm not going to do it again. Nobody read it. It's only hours old.
And about 2,300 pages long. A warning to Congress there, Alexandra.
Yep, and he followed that up by asking for an end to the Senate filibuster. And I think it's really interesting. I don't think it's any coincidence that the word filibuster comes from the Dutch word for pirate, because in a sense, the filibuster is really forcing the Senate to come up with these enormous bills to get everyone on board, causing more generational theft of my generation in terms of the kind of spending that's going on. So I think it's something that ought to be looked at, but really it would just be a Band-Aid fix, because what we're looking at here is a systematic problem with polarization, and there are different ways you can fix that. You can fix that by adding back in responsible earmarks. You can fix that by taking away all of the campaign finance restrictions that force money into dark corners and just declaring for radical transparency. And so I think that really the heart of it is the kind of polarization that's keeping Republicans and Democrats from working together to pass smaller, more responsible solutions.
Elizabeth, I want to transition to the student march happening tomorrow, because right now I think we've got a live picture of the Parkland school kids speaking at the museum in Washington, D.C., a few blocks from Capitol Hill there. But they are going to be marching for their lives for action on gun control. Some in this omnibus bill, as far as gun control, is enough being done right now on this as we see those kids about to march in the Capitol tomorrow?
Well, it was a small step that was included in the omnibus bill, but the reality is that any step forward is a positive step. More has to be done, and there's a lot of bipartisan support across the whole country. Supermajorities agree that we need to have better background checks, and we need to have age limits on the purchase of certain types of guns, and we need to get rid of bump stocks. There is broad support for this, and hopefully this is going to shine a spotlight on it and get the Republicans to back away from the NRA and stand up for the American people and for the kids in our schools.
You know, the Omnibus bill, Alexandra, includes the fixed National Instant Criminal Background Check system that uses a combination of incentives and punishments to prod federal agencies in the military to upload records into the background check system for purchasing guns. Do you think enough was in this bill?
Well, look, I think that in addition to strengthening the background system, this also permits now the CDC to engage in research concerning gun violence and the causes thereof. I think that's extremely important because we've entered this new unfortunate era of mass shootings and have been in it for some time. I think where you could really draw back a lot of this to mental illness. And I think that our tax dollars should go to study that because clearly we're just in a different time. So I think whether it's that or it's enforcing laws that are already on the books rather than adding new regulations that only regulate legal gun owners and not people who seek to procure a weapon illegally, I think is a very important step here.
All right, and we'll see those kids marching in the Capitol tomorrow as you see them there at the museum, a live picture there. Thanks to both of you, Elizabeth and Alexandra.
Thanks
Good
for having us.
Good to be here.
ISIS is claiming responsibility after 3 people were killed in an apparent